All right, now at noon, here comes the leading edge of the well-advertised storm complex here, and severe storms on the way. We've got the latest timeline, what you need to know to keep your family safe.
Also today, we're following a three-car crash on the near southeast side of Indianapolis. What we know now is police are continuing their investigation of the scene. Also, drivers could be paying more in vehicle taxes. We have the proposal for the hike that now is passing yet another hurdle. It is 12 o'clock on this Wednesday. Thanks for joining us at noon. I'm Anne Marie Tiernan. We want you to listen up today. Starting in the Weather Center today, weather is the big story today, first, second, and third. It might not look like it outside right now. Looks like a pretty nice day, but the radar lets us know what's coming. Violent, severe. These are some of the words that Sean and the other members of our weather team right now are using to warn us of what's coming. So Sean, you see it to the west now in Illinois. It's coming this way. I kind of liken this to like hurricane warnings. It's like it's gathering, it's coming, and now we're really getting to the time where it would hit landfall. It will hit Indiana today.
And listen, we don't use that word violent lightly, okay? We're not trying to scare folks. Listen, our team cares about you. We want you to be prepared. Not everyone's going to have a tornado or a destructive thunderstorm today. Unfortunately, there will be people that will. And so you need to be prepared. Hopefully you won't need it, but we know there's going to be an increasing potential later today for some violent thunderstorms. Now, everything's playing out right on schedule here. Leading edge of this complex, getting to the state border here, between now and at least this leading line, and you can see it has a history of wind damage. Of the two waves, this one will be weaker, but it doesn't mean we completely miss out on severe gust or rotation. If you were watching us yesterday, I said we need to watch this part of this complex very closely as it interacts with that warm front. That could increase the spin with it. So between now and 5 p.m., I am not going to rule out we get tornado warnings. A little bit farther to the west, and man, you can really see that low-level wind field starting to kick in. And that is where we'll be a little more concerned with numerous severe thunderstorms, many of which are going to be rotating here. So what has changed in the past 24 hours? A little slight nudge in that level 4 to encompass the metro area. And I would argue that anywhere from Lafayette to Bloomington, likely going to be in a more favorable zone for this right here. So this is by 7 o'clock. We'll start to see supercells. And these are going to be very strong storms that will have high spin potential and likely, maybe not all of them, but there's going to be some of those storms producing long track rotation and potentially long track tornadoes. This is a product we don't show you very often. It shows what we call updraft helicity. A better way to think of it is rotation potential. Don't focus on the specific area. It's the length of those rotation tracks and the volume of those rotation tracks within this zone. And this is where we believe we'll have a more probable opportunity to get long track supercells and violent tornadoes. All right, so that's what we want you to be prepared. In terms of a timeline on that, that's from about 6 to 7 p.m. to about 2 in the morning. We are just getting started. Our team will have you covered. I'll have more on the forecast in a few minutes.
All right, Sean, thanks so much. Of course, this follows up some of the weather that we had yesterday. We want to show you some video from a viewer in Greencastle showing a tornado forming near their home last night. The viewer says this is just about a mile north of 40 in the Mount Meridian area. Also, to Putnam County, we want to show you these images. This is from the sheriff's office there. This is damage and debris after the storm swept through the area there on Tuesday. The sheriff's office says no serious injuries or deaths were reported. This was more of a baby storm compared to the big mama that's coming in later today. Crews and volunteers there are helping their neighbors in need. So right now we are preparing for this another round of storms, stronger storms in central Indiana. later today. Our meteorologist Rob Ellis has some things that we need to know to make sure that you're prepared. And we were talking about maybe even viewer fatigue a little bit when we talk about severe weather, and it kind of all glosses over. And how do we put the highlight and the exclamation point that this is different, listen up, take some action?
Yeah, as Sean said, we want you to be prepared, not scared. As Hoosiers, we kind of are dealing with tornado warnings and severe weather commonly. But here's some things that maybe you don't know about. So I've got a graphic for you, and we'll go through some of the things. Do this, but also consider doing this. And let's start with the one that everyone knows. Know where to go. Lowest floor of your home. If you have a multi-story home, the basement is great, but also the interior room. But also think about this. After the storm, know where to reunite, where you can go after the storm is done, who to call, who should be hearing from you, things like that. Those are one of the things that we kind of all know, where to go, but then after the storm, also where to unite. Now, this is one that I really want people to pay attention to, multiple ways to receive alerts. One of the things that we always tell you is weather radio is great, but also have something on your phone to be able to do that. But I also want you to keep in mind, you should charge your phone ahead of time so that when the storm does hit, if the power goes out, you'll know that your phone is nice and charged. And we stream. When we do severe weather, we not only stream on WTHR+, but we also have that streaming on the web on WTHR.com, as well as on Facebook and YouTube. So one of the things that a friend of mine, his mom was taking shelter and was scared to go take shelter because then they would lose the TV. Wouldn't be able to hear Sean and Angela on the air talking about where to go. Stream that on your phone. Take that into your safe spot with you, and that's a good way to make sure that you're keeping up to it and you're seeking shelter. Now, here's one that we talked about in the newsroom for a bit. Always have your emergency kit ready. We know this, flashlights, batteries, that types of things, your important documents and papers. But here's one you may not think about. Put on shoes. And I know that sounds silly, but so many times we hear about people emerging from a disaster, and when they try to leave, they may not have put on shoes because they're in the comfort of their own home in the basement, and they didn't put on shoes before. So also bike helmets are very important to have at the ready so that if you are under a tornado warning, you can put that bike helmet on. That may help you. Head injuries are very common when you get into these types of violent tornado situations.
Yeah, I remember my son when he was little, he had a little football helmet and he would want to run and put that on. But the thing about shoes is just like, if we have big damage and if you are down in the basement and everything crumbles around you and you and your family are emerging and you don't have shoes on, an experience that Jenny Runovich had with a family going into a scene after a storm, and they're like, you just don't think of these things. And so we want you to be thinking about it right now and take some proactive steps. We hope the storm doesn't come anywhere near you.
Prepared, not scared. That's the point.
That's really key. All right. Thanks so much, Rob. Some good tips for you there. And we're going to have more on that timeline as our coverage continues. In the meantime, here is some other news making headlines today on this Wednesday coming from Metro Police. Right now, they are investigating on the near southeast side. And this is the scene. There was a 3-vehicle crash there. This is along East Raymond Street. It happened just before 6 o'clock this morning. Minimal information on what led to this crash or how many people were hurt, but once we learn those details, we'll make sure that we provide updates for you not only on air, but also online at WTHR.com. Also today, a woman is heard after she says she was stabbed by a coworker in the work break room. This happened last night around 6:45 p.m. in the break room at the Indiana Convention Center downtown. We're told the coworker arrested on preliminary charges in the case. Right now, we're working to learn that woman's current condition and what led up to that dispute there. Also, a 33-year-old man, Dante Robinson, now convicted in a deadly shooting that dates back to 2022. It happened around 12:45 in the morning of November 21st in 2022. Officers found 23-year-old Dayon Mallory shot along East 38th Street and Keystone Avenue. Robinson arrested and then charged on June 12th of 24. Now found guilty, multiple charges that do include murder and unlawful possession of a firearm by a serious violent felon. Coming up today, President Trump is talking about the deal between the U.S. and Iran. He says it is his main focus after that G7 summit in France. Sean?
And radar is busy to the west of us. That's the leading complex of what becomes a pretty violent evening here for us. We're going to have an update on the timeline and the rest of your 7-day forecast in a few minutes.